Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Cake Style, and today I'm going to make something cool for Mother's Day. I've been seeing already all of these things popping up on YouTube, cool cake ideas for Mother's Day, so I thought I'd better get my butt in gear and get started on something kind of cool for you guys. I'm going to be mixing together some sculpted along with some fresh flowers to make an awesome mason jar cake. It's going to be part cake, part bouquet of flowers to give her, so that if you're not sure whether to make her a cake or give her some fresh blooms, you can put it all together into one cool prezzy. So I went ahead and baked two 4-inch round cakes. I used some of my vanilla cupcake recipe. I've got some of our sweet buttercream here and I've tinted it in a really nice Wilton rose pink. And I have some modeling chocolate that I've made up in a gorgeous teal color. This is a Maricolor teal, it's so beautiful. And I've got the recipe links as well as the video links for you guys listed in the description box. As per usual, I have every other thing that I'm gonna be using as well listed there. So I've got a scraper, a knife, spatula, cookie cutter, cake board, mason jar as inspiration. It's kind of gonna help me a little bit along the way. Scissors, pen. Over this side we've got some of our stuff for the modeling chocolate, which is a large rolling pin, some smoothers, corn flour, a clay extruder, and I have a pizza cutter and a craft knife. I also have a tape measure because it's much easier with cakes like this to measure around the cake or around the model that you're using to give you an idea of how much you're going to need of our modeling chocolate. So firstly, I want to get the cakes out of the way. I'm going to take a cookie cutter, which is just a little bit larger than what the base of this is, because our cake is going to end up being just a touch bigger than life size. Pop that there and just go around. So what I want to do is just chop off the top and then cut a filling layer. Use some buttercream to attach our board to the first cake and then add a yummy filling layer. All right, now once this is stacked, we want to whack this into the fridge for about 15 minutes just to make it nice and firm so that it won't move around when we're carving. So now I want to get started by just making an impression with my cookie cutter so I know exactly how small I need it to be on the top. Now I'm not going to carve it all away, I'm actually going to build some of this up with our modeling chocolate, but I do need, as you can see, the cake section to get a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to trim off the edge just a touch. Go into that line and then flip it over and do the same. Now mason jars are not actually round, they're kind of like a rounded square. So what I want to do is go ahead and just shave down and make a slight straight section on the 4 sides. And I flip it up the right way, just make sure everything's lining up. Okay, so that's looking really nice. Now just to match it 3 more times. Now I want to come back and make this a bit more severe. Flip it back upside down again, and we want to do the same to the bottom, and that is just try and make, well, try not to like chop an entire corner off, but just try to make it a little bit more severe. Now I'm going to apply a crumb coat, which is basically just to lock in the crumbs. It's that easy. You just want as little as possible left on the cake. You're just trying to make it so that it doesn't crumble everywhere. I want to work on it upside down because I need to get all the way under here. And then flip it over and do the rest. Scrape under there. And then you can do the top. And then this goes back into the fridge. So now I'm going to apply just a thicker coat. Just need enough that it adheres to our modeling chocolate, that's all. Now I'm going to take my real mason jar, and I think if we make it, because ours is a bit taller, we make it about 5.5 inches, and then around we're at about 11, so maybe 13 inches or so. Okay, now I'm using corn flour so it doesn't stick. Cut a straight line. Cut off our sides. wrap this around the cake. Now what I like to do is just secure it on one side and then overlap. Take our X-Acto knife and then come down, and you're basically going to cut all the way through both layers. Pry this up, take that out, and then fold that up. You can take a bit, rub it in between the palm of your finger, rub it between the palm of your hand, a little bit extra, and then just flare it out on both sides. I'm going to take some acetate, and I want to use that to scoop it up and tuck underneath. This foam smoothing pad is something I made, and I will have the details on being able to purchase it very shortly, but it just helps to buff, just to blend all of that together. Okay, now I want to come along and just cut off the excess. I'm going to take my cookie cutter and just make a mark there and then cut around that. Now roll down a little section, and I'm just going to cut that out and pop that on top. Now I'm going to take some more, roll it into a long sausage, and then roll it out, and we want to make a long section big enough to wrap around that cookie cutter. Now it can stretch out a bit in your hands, so don't worry if you need to trim it up again. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is use this clay extruder, put some of our modelling chocolate in, wind a bunch of that out, and I'm just going to wrap that around to make it look more like a mason jar. Now the good thing about modelling chocolate is that it doesn't dry out as fast as fondant. So you can take your time with this and just work one letter at a time and leave the rest, and it will be just fine. For the flowers, I've gone ahead and gotten some gorgeous roses as well as some lisianthus and a touch of greenery. So what I'm going to do is take off all of the excess, cut back some of the stem. I'm taking a 24 gauge wire, and I'm just going to fold back the calyx and thread our wire through. I'm going to take some floral tape and just tape around the stem and the wire. And if you want to see a real pro do this, be sure to check out our other tutorials that have fresh flowers. Before I get too far ahead, I'm going to go in and stick in our flower vial, and that way your fresh flowers don't go into the cake itself. So I want to start by adding the roses. And there we have our cute mason jar, guys. It's a cake, it's flowers, and right now it's time to cut this up and enjoy a little slice of cake.